Never Say Never by Natasha Jonigan, Chapter 3. Felicia and I met in third grade. She lived in the same neighborhood as I did. The day we moved in, I was outside sitting alone as my parents and movers unloaded the truck. Felicia walked across the street and introduced herself. She offered me a piece of gum shaped like a hot dog. I'll never forget that day. A piece of gum was the offering which started our friendship. I had to transfer schools because of the move, and we were in the same class. Felicia introduced me to all of her friends, and I also joined a community cheerleading team. The Salvation Army was the local community center, and they provided lots of after school programs. Felicia's parents and my parents met, and they also became friends. If I wasn't at her house, she was at mine. Almost every weekend we had sleepovers. Years passed, and we were so close, classmates started to joke about us. They called me the dog, and Felicia was the flea. It was funny to me, but she didn't find it funny at all. Felicia was also known not to back down from a fight. We shared and did everything together. Although Felicia lost her virginity in high school, she made me promise not to make the same mistake. Felicia was hanging out with a much older girl that Mama forbid me to be friends with. Each time Felicia met a new hot boy, he always had a friend for me to talk to. She always hooked me up. We even shared our first kiss on the same day in sixth grade. Terrence and Marcus were friends, and they were our boyfriends. Felicia invited them to her house after school one evening because her parents worked late. Just picturing how Felicia and I were both standing against the side wall of the house, waiting to be kissed, was hilarious. I could remember, all I could remember was a sloppy, wet kiss that I'd like to forget. It felt like Marcus was spitting in my mouth. We practiced on pillows at her house all the time, but this time it was real. After my first kiss, I was never thrilled to kiss Marcus again, although he wanted to every chance he got. I remember him trying to put his tongue inside my mouth, and I would push it back out with my tongue. We had a tongue of war. Marcus was my boyfriend from 6th grade to 8th grade. He also played football for the team, so we got to see each other most Saturdays on game day. Felicia always had my back growing up. I was verbally bullied as a kid because I was quiet and kept to myself. There were a few older girls who didn't like me and harassed me all the time. I would listen as they would say things like, "You think you cute, huh?" Ignoring them was a hassle, but I did as Mama told me. They were eating at my confidence, causing me to become more and more introverted. Felicia had a mouth on her, though. If she was around, she would always speak up for me. One day, Felicia was homesick and I had to walk to school alone. One of the bullies' houses was on the way, and I was nervous to walk by. I sped. My speed picked up the closer I got. I made it to the school without her nowhere in sight. Tammy, the bully, was already on the blacktop where all the students waited for the school bell to ring. "There's the dog without her flea," Tammy shouted. Everyone was waiting for my response. I knew she was speaking to me, but I didn't turn around. Suddenly, my head jerked from Tammy pulling my hair. All the kids on the blacktop surrounded us, laughing at me. I stood there calmly, holding my books. "You so scary," Tammy said. As soon as she turned back to say something to her friend, I took my social studies book and hit her as hard as I could over her head. We were now in a full-fledged fight. My arms were going like a windmill, landing punch after punch. When the teacher, Mrs. Hill, broke it up, Tammy's shirt was torn off, exposing her bra. Everyone was laughing at her, and I felt good that I fought back. The sting from the scratches on my face didn't bother me until I arrived at the nurse's office. The principal called my mother, and she came to the school immediately. Mama had a plastic bag on her head because she was in the middle of coloring her hair. And I was so embarrassed because Mama always dressed to the T, with her makeup on, flawless and beautiful. There was one thing Mama had zero tolerance for, and that was someone messing with her daughters. Mama was furious that I was suspended for 3 days, and Tammy started the fight. The principal said there was zero tolerance for fighting, and I should have told the teacher. So you want my child to let someone hit her and not fight back? Mama said. Mama was hot. We drove home, and I couldn't wait to get there to call Felicia. After taking a nice warm bath, I sat down to call her. Felicia couldn't believe I actually had a fight. I wish I was there. That's the only reason she tried to fight you. I told Felicia. Tammy thought I wouldn't fight back, but I fooled her. We laughed and talked a little while longer before hanging up. Good Times, the TV show, was coming on, and we both loved to watch it.